Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the PMLC Global Nexus, where we are live today coming to you across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. In today's segment, we are going to talk about unlocking the unknown, AI's guide to mastering hidden blind spots. And with me today, we have our co-host, Dr. Jimmy Goddard. Good morning, Dr. Jimmy. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Susie. We're back, everybody. We want you to sit down, relax, project us in your 85, 125 screen television with your Java in hand. We're about to have a great show today. Very happy to be here, Dr. Susie. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you again for coming on back and joining us again. We're in this together, right?
Oh, you've got it.
All right. So we have a very special guest here with us today. Last month, we invited Debony, who spoke to us about the MIT program. And this month, we're going to introduce our new guest, Harish, and bring him on up to the stage. And Harish here has went through the Johns Hopkins AI program, and he's going to share today with us his experience in going through that particular program with AI. So, Harish, welcome aboard. Good morning.
It's a pleasure seeing you after such a long time. I think we are meeting each other after like 4 months.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
I was it's a year now after the grueling PG, after the PMO course, and it's how have you been? And I've been following you, Dr. Susie, and so when you called me over, and I said yes, it's a good. When we've been chatting so much on LinkedIn and WhatsApp, so I thought we should. It's a good topic to be here. And Dr. Jimmy, it's a pleasure. I've seen you. I've seen a couple of your webinars, and when Susie said that Dr. Jimmy is going to co-host, and I said, "Wow, this is something I cannot miss."
Absolutely. And it is our pleasure to invite you here with us, Harish. And it has been a little bit of some time, but we're very connected. So I'm very happy to have you back. It seems like it's never a lost connection. So I'm really happy about that. We just kind of pick up where we left off. The programs that we went through with the PMO programs and all of that have been very, very interesting along the way as well. And we've learned a lot as we've continued to mature in that space from some of the previous segments where we talked about the PMOs. And now this week, we're going to focus on the AI. So AI has been becoming a very, I guess, like heavy topic in the industry where everyone is just like speaking about AI, back and forth about AI, wondering if AI is going to take away their jobs, if AI is going to actually enhance business processes or fill in gaps. And today, again, our topic is unlocking the unknown. There are so many things that we don't know about AI that we're learning along the way, and then taking that application and implementing it into our business practices and standards across organizations. So this will now become the segment of AI's guide to mastering those hidden blind spots. Dr. Jimmy, what do you think about that?
Yes, and very well said, Dr. Susie. And the Harris, the my aspect or my insight on this coming, we've been talking about AI since 2023 to the point many of us have what I call the AI fatigue. And the what I would like to talk to you about today and to our audience is although we are getting AI fancy, we're not just talking about AI. We are talking about the impact of AI in our organizations, the impact of AI in our professional development, and also the impact of AI and I would say in our industries. So it's really great to have you in our session today because really when you're looking at AI, the question I have to start right away is how do we even personally define AI in terms of operations, like running a PMO, running in organizations? We all know we have blind spots. We have, it's either we see something here we appreciate. As we appreciate this, there's the opportunity of cost of the things that we don't see. So how do we define those business blind spots? And I'm putting this into context where you have certain businesses, they focus on the good of AI. We all use AI. We use AI for productivity. We use AI for research. Many businesses and industries also use AI in those areas as well. To the point, AI is a little bit deregulated now in the United States, where we're going way all in AI. But you do have another sector that is focusing on the negative components of AI. So as they're focused on being cautious, being careful, dealing with AI, or they're also having some blind spot, they're not taking advantages of AI. So in other words, AI in our organization and business may have some good components, have some bad components. Focusing on either one of those probably will say it's not really, the right thing to do. So what is your take? How do you personally define a business blind spot in today's environment, and what makes them more dangerous now than say when before we started talking about generative AI? And does it really matter the industry, right? You have financial industry, government sector, healthcare, higher education, and so forth. What are your thoughts?
All right. Uh, Happy to jump in here. The biggest challenge with AI right of these days is mainly about how we are defining our businesses without even knowing the biggest blind spot. Let me put it straight away. The biggest blind spot is what AI is throwing back at you, right? That is one which way I see how AI is impacting our life and the decision making capabilities. Now, I have seen organizations blindly following what the consultant has come and done for you, and now the dashboards are reading all different kind of pictures, and now it is led to more chaos in our business. Especially, I'm from the construction business.
Mhm.
There are data which come from even the design, from the designers. We have attempted an AI module and system. We had to shelve it because the consultant just probably didn't get it right, or we spent a lot of money. And the biggest blind spot which we found was the data at a very granular level was coming out, was not being, we could not even assess what it meant to us. We had to go back to the design boards very often. Now, having said that, that is what the AI has created a new blind spot for us. But from the positives, AI, we have used AI strongly in, especially in regulations, in building codes, in ensuring quality of our deliverables, and ensuring that people do not miss out on certain key aspects, which of course will come out in the time of your final deliverable, which leads to a lot of rework. So those kind of blind spots have been literally, we could always flag them up. So I feel that AI itself is creating a blind spot, while AI in itself, well used, well utilized, more strategically placed, and well thought over, has a lot of potential to help businesses not miss out, especially what's happening in the market, what's happening in the competition, and your own in-house productivity and quality. So I think that's my take on that.
That's a very, very good point, Harish. And thank you for bringing that up and pointing that out. One of the things that I do want to do, because you guys know that I'm really heavy into the training and the education of our audience as we go along the way. Harish, while you're thinking about like some of those experiences that you've experienced while going through the Johns Hopkins program, AI program to be specific, Dr. Jimmy, I just wanted to kind of walk back a little bit and have you to give us a little bit of insight on what it really means when we say AI regulation versus deregulation, so that our audience can put that into some type of context as it relates to, how it may be used across business standards and sectors. And then here's why he's doing that. Maybe we can have you think about like how some of those key points related back to the Johns Hopkins program. Dr. Jimmy?
Yes, thank you, Dr. C, for this question. And it has been an experience. I started working deep with AI primarily in the financial industry back in 2022, I believe. So my research started around 2018, 2019.
Mhm.
And I would say in Asia, in Europe, the activities of AI were pretty much very rapidly going, and there are a lot of guardrails that they put together to really deal with AI. And US was pretty much running kind of behind. And you have one in the financial industry, you have Africa, for instance, you have Kenya, M-Pesa, I mean, that pretty much raised the Kenya's poverty, or take about 2% of the Kenya population out of the poverty, and pretty much help them because of talking about blockchain. You're talking about peer-to-peer lending, democratized banking. So those continents or those nations are really doing very well with AI, and also have some guardrails when you're talking about regulations in this sense to protect the citizen, also to protect the environment and so forth.
Mhm.
In the US recently, definitely the year 2025, that there have been a wave of deregulations when it comes to AI. And don't take my word for it. You can go ahead and Google it. I call it the race to the bottom, if you will. And deregulations are only in data centers. There are a lot of massive data centers. Many it's happening in Texas, where we don't have the regulations when it comes around the environment, and the regulations also in the sense, as we talk about blind spot, we really want to catch up with the rest of the world by going to those research, those innovations, leveraging AI in that aspect where we're going full in. The good side of this is, yes, by going to the deregulations, removing those constraints, we allow our companies in the US to catch up with the rest of the world. That is the good side. The cost of that as well at the same time, what is it, at what cost are we doing? So what are the guardrails that we're not putting together? Whether you're talking about the financial industries, you have regulatory changes.
Mhm.
Now you have new fintech models. New fintech stands for financial technologies, pretty much going to decentralized finance. And the question then is, what does that mean? Because on the other end, you have what we call the sophisticated cybersecurity threats. So
Mhm.
it's one thing to use any of those money tools, Venmo, PayPal, or you know, my, all those apps out there. It's one thing to do that, but also what is the possible risk when it comes to fraud? You have character AIs. It is good to have an AI that can be a guide, that can be a coach. At the same time, you have character AI. I'm using that as an example because it's a company. Not that I am throwing hits on that company, but you do have teenagers that are creating personalities that are communicating with those AIs without regulations, without having the guardrail, the security guardrails in place. There are two cases right now that I'm aware of a teenager committing suicide. So you have the government sector, you have healthcare, and to your point, Dr. Suze, you have higher education. Blind spots could be the arising of alternative credentials like industry certificates, changing students' expectations for hybrid learning, or a demographic that's going to enroll that was not properly forecasted, right? So I'll talk about education today. How do we leverage AI without some type of security guardrails, or without guardrails environment, without the society guardrails for students to learn? Many people go straight into AI to learn, which is good because some of the information is there. At the same time, there's still 10% of that information that's still hallucinations. So if you're using AI to get your work done, I'll probably say that's a huge blind spot where I would recommend you use AI to get your work done better versus using AI to do your work.
Absolutely true. And just to bring a little bit more context into that, and some layman terms that we may be used to seeing like every day, especially messages out from our segment to maybe even like CHROs in industries, how AI has impacted even our labor market, right? So people using AI to rewrite resumes, to come up with different questions that they may have and things like that. Revamping those things and putting in the different experiences said to be true or untrue. We're finding, that a lot of people are leaning more into AI through like the chat GPTs and et cetera, agents and bots and things like that, to even build up their different skill sets on paper. So I'm going to shift back over now and put a little bit of attention back on Harris and the Johns Hopkins program. And talk about some of the use cases or practical experiences that you've had in using this AI. So educate us, Harris, on what you have experienced in your program.
All right. especially when I hear Dr. Jimmy, it really opens. It makes me even more what you call conscious about what I went through in the course, simply because here I am hearing to one of the person's boots on the ground, so to say, actually having to deal with all these policies and the regulations, etc.
Yeah.
Now, John Hopkins University course, which is basically AI business strategy, is actually it's very much for people like me, which I actually realized because I am an absolute very late bloomer of AI. I was resisting AI to a great extent. I said no because it used to be a common debate on the dining table with my children,
Mhm.
and they are all in universities. And I used to say, now, don't depend so much on AI for doing this. Then I really wanted to understand as a professional. I've been in the business of programs and projects and portfolios and PMOs. I've set it up all across. The best I've got close to digitalization is a PMIS. And rest all I always thought, the industry where or the business what I'm in is highly intuitive, highly personal, highly human centric.
Mhm.
And then lo behold, I just came across this course, and then the basic thing it helped me understand is the gap between, or how to bridge the gap between the leadership and the technology.
Mhm.
And that is the biggest, and what are the various project management well thought over and well defined and a strategically aligned AI initiative within an organization. And what impressed me in the first few lectures was that they simply said AI doesn't fit everything. And I said, yes, that's true at last. And as you help me understand that it's not everything, it's not AI. And every initiative doesn't now, it's become a fad, right? Every senior management, every Monday morning meeting is, hey, what have you learned from AI today? What have you learned on AI today? So it's the leadership is gung-ho about it, but probably they really don't have a direction of how to go about getting whether to go in for an AI initiative and which areas or aspects of their business would best be impacted by a well-defined AI structure. So this course has been a 12-week course. It has two capstone projects, and these projects really were eye-openers in many ways. And the faculty was, of course, highly learned, and it really guided us through the entire process. What takeaway I had from this is you can never be old for AI, because I had colleagues in my cohort who were 65, and I said, "Wow! I mean, this gentleman has still got the energy to do this." And I probably the average age group of the whole batch was I would not I would place it at 40. You
Mhm.
see, because it's the people like what you call seasoned professionals now really want to get a handle around it,
Mhm.
and they don't want to be lost because they anyway it's inescapable. And the best part is to know exactly where to get in the benefit of AI into your organization.
Yeah.
So I found this kind of courses, it really it makes you think and makes you updated with what exactly is going on. And people, professionals of, I think, professionals of certain maturity in their career, they are the actual people who are going to drive AI. And that's my main learning. It's not the data scientists, it's not the data engineers. They are important. One of the key takeaways, especially from an organization's perspective, is how do I get in AI into my entire business?
Mhm.
And we break it down into approximately three layers. One is the algorithm, one is IT and the processes, IT and and the entire technology stack, and finally the people and the processes. And the ratio actually goes as 10, 20, and 70. So we have to start with the people. We have to actually make them aware of the strategy of the organization and how AI is going to be embedded into it. So by and large, these two capstone projects gave me a good opening into the technology behind this whole thing and what leadership and what project management. My driver for this course was purely on project management. I
Mhm.
said, what does it take to do an AI, project management? And that was one of the biggest chunk of the course. and it really, now I'm more open to talking to AI consultants and even seek an entire architectural framework and ask them relevant questions. And it's useful. Otherwise, you never been driving the strategy from a leadership position.
That's a good point that you bring up. And being that we're kind of like on the brink of the horizon for the newfound structure of AI and AI consultants and experts that are out there in the industry, what are some of the key takeaways that you can highlight for us on things to strongly consider when looking at different types of AI consultants to invite them into the organization to share like their best practices or strategies around organizations and how they should use AI to help to fill in those gaps within the organization?
All right. When you talk about one of the biggest modules in this whole in this sessions which I have gone through is the labor market and the organization structure changes which AI would need to, and leadership needs to bring into work before
Mhm,
they start going into this entire, even the thought process of AI.
mhm,
Now, just to give you an example, when I was talking to my wife regarding one of her businesses which she's running into, and she was just telling that I'm having this problem of the time gap between when I get an inquiry and the number of times I need to change the itinerary and the pricing for my customers, as she's in the tourism business. And then I actually understood when the consultant came in, I understood what exactly what I wanted it from him. I understood the use case. I could define the use case to him, and of course, that helped him get out a better, solution for me.
mhm,
Right. So yes, while we get very familiar with the glossary of the whole thing, understanding the concepts right from the basics, what is AI, what is machine learning, and how the technology and the business strategies have to be, balanced out. Your starting point is very important, and which nobody did. Nobody. I mean, I have seen many courses of the run. They don't start with the use case. You know, defining a use case and the kind of why you want to do it. In my organization,
mhm,
we are beating all around the place. Everybody's asked, okay, what are the latest? How are you going to use AI in your line of business? Whether it be finance, let it be HR, let it be anything. Nobody's asking anybody what is the process where you're struggling with. What do you want to improve? How would you like help from AI? How is AI going to benefit you? And then that's where the use cases start, and that's where you start building the entire process of going into an AI project, which will, of course, we'll have to monitor the benefits over time.
Yeah,
That,
Dr. Jimmy, I'm seeing a trend here from the conversation that we had with Debony, kind of flowing
yeah.
into this conversation with Harish about the AI and where do we actually start. And one of the key things that we highlighted in our last segment is to really lean into and not be afraid of asking the question of what problem are we actually trying to solve with the introduction of AI into the organization. When we think about the role of AI and the application of it and its technology and meaningful use within organizations, can you shed a little bit of light into some of those experiences in terms of how organizations should like really consider what problem they're trying to solve by utilization of AI?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So, Arish, I think you mentioned it well. Going to an organization and you're talking about AI. So the question then is, what's the use case,
Yeah.
right? Why am I bringing this tool into the organization, and what is the role of AI really? And we don't need to go far to know that even without AI, project management, the success of projects and organization was pretty much low. And project management has been around for a long time, and many technology projects, experience high rate of failure.
Mhm.
And with AI now, the question then is, should we see an increase of success, or should or is it the same thing? The latest numbers I have, I believe it was about the same thing. And don't quote me on this one. I believe about 70% of AI projects fail. And the question then say that number is really high. Then what's going on? Is it the understanding of the AI tool that people did not understand and try to apply it? And we talk about AI. The other question for me is oftentimes we use this broad notion. We talk about AI, but we don't go into really depth to figure out um, what does that mean. So AI is a broad term. So when we're talking about the role of AI, the blind spots that AI create, we really need to go beyond the simple dashboards
Mhm.
and to technology that can discover patterns independently. So we have natural language processing, right? So I would say this is probably the most critical because the majority of rich, unfiltered feedback that we get from customers, employees, in the market exists as unstructured text. It's videos, it's voice messages, it's product reviews, support emails, call center transcripts, social media posts, internal Slack channels. NLP then can analyze this massive amount of data to identify the emerging themes, right? Shifts in your customer sentiment that will never be captured in a survey. You have different other. You have generative AI that many of us use, and you have now this new thing called agentic AI. What
Mhm.
is the role of AI in our organization? Dr. Susie, this is really a can of worm, right? Because the question then is, do I need to have a use case to bring AI into my organization, or can I leverage AI to create the use case for in my organization?
Mhm.
That's really a tough question because when I'm thinking about other AI tools such as anomaly detection, I can bring AI to figure out, okay, I have traditional business intelligence that give me data, but we know when we're looking at massive amount of data, there's the data that we understand that we get intelligence from. There also the amount of data that is sitting there we call dark data that we have no knowledge what's going on to those data. So what about using anomaly detection data, big AI algorithms to go to this massive dark data to get intelligence from? And you have predictive analytics. Predictive analytics, it's in everything that we do. You're watching a Netflix show that tells you, hey, people who watch this movie also watch that movie. You also have, when you purchase something on Amazon, that tells you, hey, people who purchase this also purchase that.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. I was talking with my kids yesterday, going to a football game, and we were talking about something in the car, and I wanted to get the data because I always tell them we need to get facts. I asked Siri a question, and all of a sudden Siri relayed my question to the information we're having in the car. I'm like, hold up, I don't remember asking Siri, inviting Siri in our conversation. I am not saying, since I'm says Siri, I don't want to be sued that I am throwing shade on Apple. I'm not saying Siri is listening to my conversation. What I'm saying is Siri answered a question about the conversation I was having that Siri was not invited, right? That's all I'm saying. So as I mentioned those company names, it is not to say they're good, they're bad, this and that. Full disclosure,
Mhm.
it is an experiment. It is an experience I have with some of those companies. So, what is the role of AI in our organizations? What is the role of AI in organization dealing with blind spots? And I will say it is really challenging. I believe if we don't define it, we create a blind spot. We're missing opportunities. I would highly recommend every company that's leveraging AI. Definitely, and I'm talking about generative AI. I'm talking about agentic AI because agentic AI will take our world to a whole different place. To the point, Arish, I don't need to have a use case. I can just create an agent to say, watch what I do over a week, and I need you now to take over what the things that I do. What is the use case? Is it my productivity? Is the use case is reading my emails? Is the use case is automating some of the tasks that I'm doing? After a week, I can bring this agent together and say, this is what I've done. I need you to streamline what I do to give me greater productivity. You can call that the use case. However, you may not know what your use case is. Does not mean you don't need to bring an agent in to monitor it. The opportunity cost is by doing this, many of those agentic AI algorithms and software, they're black holes. You have no idea how they communicate home. Now, you can create your own agent, which is great. You can use natural language processing to create applications to get something done. That is also great. Still, we don't know every single line of code that's in those agents. And like I said, who they're communicating with, what's in the background. So use it for your personal finance to get greater insights. As a matter of fact, I use it for my business. I download my P&L, and then for last year, and put it in and create an agent. I said, you are going to be my accountant. Look at my P&L and tell me how I need to increase my profit by such and such amount in the year 2025, the year 2026. Yes, I discovered a lot of things I know I was doing, I should not be doing, but this thing just put it right in my face. Hey, you spend too much money in giving to for your philanthropic causes. This is something I value, so I'm like, okay, I can live with that. You spend too much money in training. I'm like, that's fine. I can live with that. Good thing I knew those areas, right? That's where I spend most of my money. But having said that, if you did not know, you now have use cases that you can bring the AI in to really help you. So to answer the question, Dr. Susie, what is the role of AI in our organization, and also taking, into consideration blind spots? If you don't know, just ask it.
There you go. Right. And thank God you didn't have any offshore shell companies that your agent kind of picked up on there. I think we're safe.
I want to add one thing here, Dr. Jimmy and Susie. Actually, I was with this organization and had a very young CEO. All right. And I was part of the senior PMO consultant. I said, okay, let's make a strategy. He was wondering about strategy. And one fine day, he came with such a bright smile and told me, Harish, I got it. I got the statement now. And I read the statement and said, okay, I mean, how does it look smarter? Then he said, you know what? I use ChatGPT. I said, oh, serious? I said, you want to write this vision of the company? And I said, no, he says, I quizzed it 20 times and I refined it. So this brings me back to that, probably I'm still a little bit more conservative in this matter. So especially Dr. Susie and Dr. Jimmy, my lookout would be like, is the management becoming smarter now, or are they just becoming a tad lazy to actually get where they were? Because the businessmen 10 years back also did great business. Why would it be different now? It's always my, I'm always inquisitive about it, right? Like
Yeah.
Dr. Jimmy, this case of finding out where exactly is my, money spilling out, or where should I, what is better based on my vision statement? What does the AI agentic tool tell me that which are the areas going forward from the various market researchers? And in my industry, where am I not spending more, or where should I be focusing more, like training of my employees, or probably getting or training myself, or training or getting new tools. So I know that the tool can do all this for us. I have seen it happening around me, and to tell you, I have used it to solve one of the capstone projects in GHU. And it really made me understand that, oh my God, these are the various nuances of the AI and the explainability, which Dr. Jimmy was so rightly highlighting. So my thought process always goes to the fact that, are we becoming better businessmen now, or business strategists, because of AI? Or what is that which I missed 15 years back? What is that? So I always wonder that, would I not have done this previously, or the smarter businessmen, or they're much more bigger businessmen than me. But yes, I understand the dynamics. The business are changing much faster. Decisions have to be taken, more data centric decisions to be taken. So would that be the answer, or what? Where am I missing? So I would really like to understand this.
So,
You
Dr.
know, in
Suzy,
this future
you go
conversation.
first. No, that's
Yeah.
a great question, Harris. Dr.
I
Suzy, you
mean,
go
I'm sitting over here thinking myself, and I think it's very on the level of still being explorative, if you really want to know the truth from
Yeah.
my perspective. I think as I look at what we're doing and inside of Project Management Learning Center and the strategies that we're even, kind of going back and forth through, and implementation of AI, generative AI to be very specific, utilization of the chat GPTs, the policies that are around that. I think we're talking about that, my mind just kind of went to, well, it's still about the end user. It's still about what information are we putting into AI through machine learning versus information that we retrieve from when we put in the different prompts, right? So it's really looking at how do you well train this machine to help you to get to the desired results that you're looking for. And I think that that's still on the horizon of being explored through all of the consultants, all of the experts out in the industry itself. Because as you can see, there are different forms of AR there that are still unfolding before our very eyes. We haven't absolutely nailed down this is what AI really is. So I think we still have room for exploration. Dr. Jimmy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, this is a big one because I was now there are a lot of studies out there, and I'd like people to do their own research. So I'm going to mention the contents a little bit and let you find the study yourself. Is and not in a quick short way, I can say, Harris, we're getting dumber. We're getting dumber. We have by 2028, it is estimated that technological immersion will impact population with digital addiction and social isolation. 70% of organization is going to have to implement some type of anti-digital policies. That's going to be a fact. Why? Because think about it this way. Back before, if I get an email if somebody send me an email, I can just reply to that email in the moment of it, in my emotions of it, and my emotions carry through that email. And somebody will say, "You probably should have read this email before you send it." Right now, I can take all the rage that I have, put it into the email, and ask the AI tool to write this email like I'm a priest giving counseling to a parishioner. And the rage of my email never carried through. My emotions never carry through, but the essence of my email carries through. So that's the good component of it. The bad component of it, Harris, is the example you give. When you have a CEO, a young CEO who has not gone to the rank of the growth of leadership, and that person comes with a vision, not his vision. In other words, come up with a vision requires for you to immerse yourself in an organization, to know what you want to be all about, to ponder over it, to grow with that vision. So when you state that vision, you don't say it with words, you say it with all your feelings, because then that's when you connect with people. When Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that one day," everybody connected to that vision, everybody connected to that dream. Having an AI to business water it down to business languages where you put words together does not carry the same sentiments, the same feeling to go down to an organization, to run an organization. Having said that, if I have a vision and I'm not a great communicator, I am passionate about my vision, but I cannot articulate my vision, I can put into the AI tool and say, "This is what I want to say. I want you to state it in a way that brings my emotions out of it." So it is. So what I'm trying to say here is the people who understand, who know what they are doing, AI now creates this bifurcation that the ones who know will get better, the ones who don't know may get dumber. The notion that you can right now, all one group of industry, the consulting industry, is going to be heavily impacted by this because most of the information now is available. AI can go behind the paywall to get information and make it available to the public. I don't need to pay a consulting firm $50,000 to create a strategic plan for my organization. If I know what I'm doing, if I know what I want, I can work within agentic AI to get that done for me. So there is the fear that the ones who some of us who've been there, Arish, some of us who've been through the battles and we have the scars, we can leverage it to do well. But our young management team that just finished graduating college, that's getting into the workforce, that do not have the experience, they think they can go behind an AI tool within 30 seconds and come up with a strategic plan. They have no idea what's in it. They can do that, but they cannot lead people with it, because you don't lead people with the what and the how, you lead people with the why. Can you tell me why I need to follow this vision when you don't know even what's in it, because you just get it on your phone 30 seconds before you show up on stage? So I think, to answer your question, this is what this bifurcation is going to take place. Now, what is going to be the impact on organizations? Organizations are going to need to find a way. Leaders need to find a way. PMO is going to need to find a way to use AI to educate. Like I said earlier, use AI to get your work done better. But you cannot use AI to do your work for you, because you're cheating yourself of the journey of growth.
Very well said. With that being said, Harish, we're going to turn it back over to you for any last words or final thoughts as we say goodbye in today's session.
Dr. Jimmy, it was really, you have so eloquently put my thoughts about this, so I don't feel old school, So and that was the whole
We are
point
not
of the
old
very-
school.
Yes,
We are experienced.
that's what that was. It was just to reassure myself. But I just like to leave this session. Leave this, close it out with a simple question or inquisitiveness, like, where is this human machine divide going to, blur, or how is it going to be maintained for the good of humanity at the end of the day? Because AI, when we say AI tool, I think that the best way to define it and its utility in our life should be a tool and not become master of this one. So that will be an interesting spot. I would like to be monitoring it over time. Where is the divide going to blur, and is it going to be delineated as it is today, or it's just going to, you do not know whom you're talking to? An agentic AI tool might just be talking more sweeter than the actual call girl call for on the phone. So we are in a very interesting space to look out, and that's what I would be watchful about. That's from me.
Thank you. And thank you again for joining us today, Harish. We really appreciate you being with us. Dr. Jimmy, over to you. Final words for today's session regarding our AI guides to mastering the hidden blind spots.
Dr. Jimmy. Oh, no, I'm real. I'm not an agent.
Please click the box if you're not a robot.
Exactly my point. This may be our next reality, is when you have somebody on the call, is it that person, or is it a representation of that person? My friends, I'm telling you, this is what I just did. It is not far-fetched. It is already an application where I create an avatar, invite the avatar to this meeting, and the avatar can speak like me, behave like me. And while I'm doing this session, I can be in Hawaii or Fiji, or being in the Bahamas, enjoying a Bahama mama, right? So that's where to your point, Harish, that's the thing we need to be mindful of. We cannot lose our humanity by leveraging a utility to help us get our job done better.
Very well said. I would like to end today's session by thanking you both for coming on again. And to our audience again, never stop learning. We know that we're, on the verge of always being introduced to something new in the industry. By the time we learn that, it's obsolete. And then here we are back to the drawing board. I've heard certain factors come up around age, making sure that we're fitting into today's models as it goes across the board. But I want to always bring us back to the heart of the matter. And that is, no matter how old you are, no matter what the topic is, never stop learning. There is the value, therein lies, the education. Those are things that people can never take away from us, because it is your knowledge once you attain it, right? You take that and then you use it. And how do you show up? The way you come in the room, people will always remember you, right? So always bring that forth with you. We always end with one thing in mind. So Harris, to our next guest, what is a question that you would want to ask of our next guest regarding the topic of AI?
Dr. Jimmy, I want you to lead that.
Wow. No, Harris, you are our guest. So the question is for you to ask. What is one question you would like you would like our guest to answer? It can be around AI, but it can also be around the project management in the business world. Oh, believe me, I'm going to have a lot of questions next month. So the honor is yours, my friend.
All right. No, my main focus always has been and will be to, which I just mentioned just now, is about the human machine collaboration, where it will end and when it'll
Awesome.
start.
Great
That's
question.
something which I really would like to see. As Dr. Jimmy, you just said, it could not be me. It cannot be me. I can clone myself at many different places in different circumstances.
Yeah.
So with that kind of misinformation going on, and big heads rolling in politics and many other things happening. So I want to know, how is this, where does the human still have the key over the tool, rather than the tool having the key over the human beings? So that would
Great
be my
question.
thought provoking thing for me, which I will be also monitoring and reading. I read a lot on this. So let's see where it takes us. Thank you.
Great question. Great question. So for next month, Dr. Jimmy, we come back here again on Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. And we're going to have two guests with us. So we're going to bring Harris back. So we thank you again, Harris, and are inviting you back to join us Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Dr. Jimmy, we're going to bring Debony back. Woo! So Debony Lewis will be coming back with us again October 11th at 10 a.m. And we're just going to join the two guests together and have a very meaningful conversation around AI, not comparing their experiences through the different programs that they've attended, but more so to come in and collaborate and give us more insights, education, and those different global insights that we're looking for around project management, the project management office, and of course, AI and strategy within the organization. I want to thank you all again for coming out to join us this morning. And as we sign off and say goodbye, we want to remind you that we're coming back again on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube on Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. Happy Saturday to you all. Dr. Jimmy, any final words for our guests before we go here?
I'll say, everybody, let's stay human, be human, and let's not lose our connections.
All right. Thank you all for joining again, and we will see you next month, Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.